Okay. You guys ready to rip?
Ready.
Let's do it.
Guys, thanks for doing this.
Oh, thanks for having us, man.
Excited.
We got a full crew here of people gearing up for the WWE WrestleMania.
Oof.
I just did a bit of research on WrestleMania. It's unbelievable the popularity of this upcoming event. The 5th most popular sporting event ahead of the Olympics and like Major League Baseball's
We're ahead of the
finals.
Olympics?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's absurd.
I'll take that.
I mean, so congratulations on what you guys have done. I want to first start with Josh. You serve as the trainer to Seth. How do you keep track of this guy?
Constant text messages.
Lots of angry text messages.
A lot of angry text messages. No, but we talk on a daily basis about just kind of how he trains throughout the day or how he's feeling. I send them obviously his weekly programming, and shortly after that I get the angry text messages be like, oh, this workout looks awful, or oh, this one looks terrible, but nonetheless they still do them all. And then I still get the angry text messages afterwards. I'm like, oh my god, that was a terrible workout, I was right. But that's how more or less I keep track of Seth's workouts throughout the week.
And how often are you guys actually together like you are right now?
Oh, rarely, right? Once a month, maybe?
Yeah, once a month, once every other month, depending on the events. Usually I try to keep my schedule open on the bigger events like WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, all the big events I like to try to go to. Or if there's an event closer to where I live, where it's easy for me to get in and out.
And you're like on the road all the time, right? I mean, it's a crazy travel schedule.
Yeah, as WWE superstars, we're on the road all year. There's no off season. We travel 250 days a year, probably, roughly.
That's insane.
Wrestle close to, depending on where you're at, I probably wrestled close to 170 matches last year, right?
I think so.
Yeah, if you're doing it every week in a full schedule and stuff like that. So, and we're jumping time zones and continents and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's the gig,
What does like a week look like for you? To describe a week of being a pro wrestler.
A typical week for me or for us is we would fly in to a town from home on a Friday, or for Cesaro it would be on a Saturday. So you take off from wherever you're from, or usually a very early morning flight, 4 a.m. wake-up call, and then you fly into a town, grab a rental car. You'll do a workout probably that day, usually to, get some of the rust off, or rest if you need to. And then you have a show that night. You're looking at another 3 to 4 hour drive after that to the next town. Get some rest.
It's wild, the drives,
Yeah.
too.
Get away. We drive ourselves. We have our own rental cars and stuff like that. Have another show on the next day, and then another 4 hour drive. Throw in a couple of workouts through this process. We have another 3-4 hour drive, and then another non-televised event, and then another 3 or 4 hour drive, and then finally on a Monday or a Tuesday, depending on what day is your last day of what we call our loops. We'll do our television, which is a 10-hour long day of live TV and taping a bunch of backstage segments and stuff like that. And then you will fly home, usually another early morning flight, either on a Tuesday or a Wednesday for him. And then you will be home for roughly 2.5 days. Yeah. The first one, you're usually trying to catch your bearings, and then the second one, you're okay, and then you're getting ready to leave. So, and we do that every week. And that's if we don't have media somewhere else during the week. If you're not going to New York to, like Cesaro was in New York last week doing
Yeah, we had like an appearance for the National Champions Cup, which is football, the real
Soccer.
football, just promoting that, and then flew home Thursday night and left again Friday morning.
Yeah, and then if you're here, we're here in Brooklyn all week promoting WrestleMania. And we've if we have international tours, which we do coming up here in May, we got 2 weeks in Europe. So, and then you just go every single day. So it really just depends on the week. But the normal one is a 4-day on, 3-day off kind of split.
I'm very excited for Europe to see how the gang does in that,
that
part of town.
How the Whoop
Very
handles
excited.
How the
I'm
Whoop
very
handles
excited
Europe.
how the Whoop handles Europe, or
So-
how I handle Europe.
I mean, one of the things that's coolest for me is getting to meet people on Whoop, and I discovered that WWE had really adopted Whoop internally, a bit of a grassroots movement. Josh, I think you started this, right? What got you interested in the product, and how'd you get these guys onto it?
We had a trainer at the gym that I work at. She had one, and I was like, "Oh, what is that?" And she was like, "Oh, this is a band that tracks our recovery and how I approach my training regimen." And I'm like, "Oh, that's really interesting." So I brought it to these guys' attention, and they're like, "Oh yeah, let's try it out." And as soon as we put it on, it became an internal game of like, "Oh, who can recover faster? Who has the most sleep?" And it just kind of grew like wildfire. The next thing I know, I have when I'm fortunate enough to travel with these guys, guys come up to me backstage, they're like, "Oh, that Whoop that you guys are all wearing, like, what is that?" And so we all kind of tell them what's going on, and so now they want to be a part of what we call the Whoop gang, because they see how important it is for these guys to track their recovery as well as their training. Because sometimes I'll look at that and be like, "Man, I feel great," and then I'll look at the app and I'm like, "Oh man, I did not get any sleep, and I am clearly not recovered, so maybe I shouldn't train today. Maybe I should take a rest day." Where before I'd be like, "I think I feel okay, so I'm just gonna go into the gym," and then get upset and why my workouts weren't as great as they were.
And so let's talk a little bit about the training piece of this. Like, you guys do workouts that are pretty similar to CrossFit workouts, right? Or you define them as CrossFit?
Yeah, I just do CrossFit.
Yeah.
And that's similar for you, Cesaro?
Yeah.
And what drew you into the CrossFit community?
Well, Josh, actually. I jumped in early. I've been doing CrossFit for about 9 years, and for me, just like the paradigm was better, like the training style was better. I obviously got hooked because of the WODs. Like, that was the first thing. Just never having done cardio in that way. It was awesome. And then you join a gym, and the class atmosphere is cool. You get to compete, which that's a fun part of it. And then I was kind of just getting workouts here and there for a while, or like a coach at my gym, or I would follow that programming when I was on the road. But then Josh hit me up on Twitter using Lindsay Valenzuela, famous CrossFitter's profile, to lure me in to Dogtown CrossFit, where he was working at the time. And I went in and met him, and he was a big wrestling fan, and we hit it off, and he asked if he could program for me, and I was like, yeah, sure. So then here we are, like, what is it, 3-4 years later now? 5 years later.
5 years later.
Wow.
Time flies. I'm old.
Yeah.
And so we've been, we adjust my programming to see, how I feel, and my capacity as it's increased or decreased over the years, depending on how I'm feeling from week to week. And then Cesaro here is my training buddy. We ride together.
So you guys grind it out together.
Well, we used to. We're on separate brands now, so we don't get to travel as much. But for a while there, we rode together every day for like 4 or 5 years straight. And so we're on the same wavelength as far as how we operate, which is very important when you're on the road, when you are with someone. I mean, I'm with him more than I'm with my family.
Right.
And so you have to get along with him. You guys have to have the same mindset when it comes to training and eating and traveling, and if you don't have those things, you just end up riding by yourself. So, we had the same thing going on, and I would always try to come on, do the workout with me. I'll do this one, but I'm not good at that one. I'll do this one, but I'm not good at that one. I can't do that. This is stupid. I hate this.
Yeah, don't let him fool you. He says he's not good at anything, but he always beats us, and then he's like, "Oh, I had a good day today." Or,
I'm a weightlifter,
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
I'm like, he worked us. He tricked us again.
So eventually we suckered him into doing, and he still does a lot of his own stuff, but he'll hop on the Joshy programming bandwagon from time to time.
So will you guys now compare your strain levels on Whoop?
No, all the time.
every day.
Every day.
I think it's a competition on every possible aspect that the Whoop tracks, from strain to HRV to
Resting
heart rate to sleep performance to the number of hours of sleep, everything, everything you can measure. And even before we now are lucky enough to be connected through the Whoop app, that you can just look at.
Yeah,
everything.
you guys are on a team together.
Yeah.
We used to be in a text group where everybody had one, and it would just be
Screenshot.
every morning you would wake up, there'd be 7 screenshots. We're like, oh, this person won, and it's just it was
So describe who's on the team together, the Whoop team.
Whoa, what do we have now? 10 people or so?
Yeah, we have Cesaro and Seth. We have Becky Lynch, who's a wrestler. We have Bailey, who's a wrestler. Sheamus, he's a wrestler. And then we have some people from my gym as well. But the WWE group were the originators of the Whoop Gang, and so like Cesaro said, at 5 a.m. I'm usually at the gym, and I'll send mine first, and then he'll send his, and then we'll wait a couple hours, and then all of us, then the next few texts are just us yelling at whoever's in first place, like, how did you get 98 recovery? I'm at 36.
You slept for 2 hours less than me. This is bullcrap.
Yeah, we get real angry, but in a competitive way, obviously.
So, Seth, what's something you've discovered about yourself from using Whoop?
Oh, my HRV's through the roof, baby. I got that high HRV.
I can tell you what I've discovered is that his resting heart rate is the lowest I've ever seen in a human being. Are you in the 30s?
37, yeah. Wow. It was the other day. 38. I think my average is around like 38 or 39.
That's like Olympic swimmer level.
Oh. Yeah. No, I knew that. But that my HRV is very high. I knew I didn't sleep enough, but like figuring out how little I slept has made me now I'm like, okay, no, I have to get to sleep.
So now you'll get more sleep.
Yeah, I'm like, I need it. Let's go to sleep so my Whoop doesn't hate me, you know?
I think that's a big part, because when you get to the hotel after a long drive, it's like, okay, I need to wind down, let me watch, and then you just start watching a TV show or something on YouTube, and all of a sudden it's an hour later, and you're like, I'm still kind of awake. But with the Whoop, it's like, I need my sleep, so it's just stretch for a bed, period. Okay, how can I get to bed as quickly as possible because I need my sleep? So.
Well, this is the thing that is always funny when I'm talking to someone who's completely out of the pro sports world or a professional atmosphere, and I describe Whoop to them. They always say well, don't pro athletes already know they need sleep? And it's like, yes, that's true, but when super competitive people have data that they can look at that says they're not doing something as well as they could, there's a mindset shift that just happens, and clearly you guys are describing it.
Yeah, and also it's I know I can function on 6 hours of sleep. I just know I can. That's no that's just I can do
it's
that.
Not ideal.
Yeah,
that's not a problem.
But you're not going to be optimal.
Yeah, but I just know. Okay, yeah, 6 hours. So if I get into a hotel and I want to watch I'm catching up on Game of Thrones or something. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Then it's I can sleep 7.5 or 6. I'll be fine with 6. And then you watch. But now well, my Whoop says I should really sleep 7.5 hours. I'm just gonna go to sleep now. So it's
man.
So or even the HRV too. It's before I probably I know I run hot. I know I'm a hothead. But now I'm okay, well maybe I should download a meditation app, or maybe I should do more yoga classes. Maybe I got to get this HRV up through the roof, because right now it says that it's at 32, and I don't want to be at 32. So when you see somebody that has 178.
I know, right? So let's talk about that for a second. What are some things that you guys have found boost or decrease your HRV? Just things that you might be taking in your life. It could be diet. It could be tricks that you do before bed.
I'm convinced the CBD helps my HRV.
And how do you take it?
So I take it orally. I find that the powder is the best. I have a 1 gram isolate that I take. So I just put it under my tongue and let it dissolve. And then once it dissolves, I let it sit for a minute and swallow it. If I take that half hour before bed or so, I find that my HRV is more consistently higher.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's just something that puts me into a deeper sleep or not, but and maybe it's a placebo. I don't know either. But I have the data.
Placebos do work too.
Yeah, exactly. But I have the data. So.
You're not the first athlete I've talked to who's pretty into CBD.
Yeah. So I tried other ways. I've tried balms on my joints and muscles and stuff like that, but it doesn't seem to have the same effect as far as reducing inflammation to remove pain or soreness. I find that the best thing for the CBD is that I feel much more rested when I wake up, and now I've got a little data to back it up with the Whoop, so I feel
feels like it's working.
Yes, it feels like it's something that's effective.
How about you, Cesaro?
I'm still trying to figure it out because my HRV is really low.
Crap.
But it's consistently low, so it's not
keep in mind.
So that was the fun part. It was first time when you had it was why is this quadruple mine? And then it's just that's just.
But you realize
how
some of it
works.
is genetic too.
Yeah.
We get questions every day from Whoop users why does someone have a higher HRV?
So I just found I'm still trying to find the optimum HRV or how to improve it. I found not eating as close to bedtime helps.
Oh, interesting.
But again, I don't have any long-term data to back that up, so that's just what I'm going by now, hopefully.
For you, what is not close to bedtime?
So because when I used to drive, I bring my own meals on the road, so I would drive, get to the hotel, throw in food, eat,
And then
stretch,
immediately
and go to bed.
Yeah.
And then like I felt like my body's probably processing that. And then like I think just last weekend we had really long drives, like 4.5 hour drives every night. So I actually ate halfway through the drive, then got to tell and fell asleep, and I felt my HRE was better. So like I'm just small stuff like that too.
Now you guys travel an insane amount. I mean, sitting in a car for that long's a real deal. Like, are there certain tricks that you have to dealing with that?
Now, when you say sitting in a car is a real deal, you mean like it hurts when you stand up?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you
bad
just
on your
did.
joints,
Yeah, I mean, it creates stiffness, right?
Ramwad works for us. So, I mean, that's it's just easy because you don't have to think about it. So you get out of the car, you put your stuff down, you put on the app. Tells you how to stretch for 15 to 20 minutes.
So this is an app for stretching.
Yeah, it's an app for
We'll include that in the show notes for people listening.
Yeah, it's really good if you're into it, but it's just a way to like kind of wind down your brain because all you do is focus on your breathing and stretching for 20 minutes and just chill. And then I find that just doing a little bit of that every night will make me feel exponentially better when I wake up. Like I just feel far less stiff.
Well, one thing I love about you guys is just how experimental you are. Like, it's fascinating to me. You guys are at the very top of your sport, and you're still trying new things. You're still testing new things. It's amazing to me because we keep seeing this over and over again with all the athletes that we work with.
Well, I feel like it's, like you said, like when you're on the road so much, you have to travel and surround yourself with people who have the same mindset.
Yeah,
and
totally.
It's like very competitive.
Yeah.
As you
So if someone's opening
an
an app,
but it's
you
like,
don't wanna get
but
left
for
behind.
example, like I saw him stretch and I was like, what is this? He was like, oh, it's Roman. I'm like, oh, great. Because like I used to stretch, but it's like I do my same 3 stretches that I know, and then like after like 5-6 minutes, I'm like, well, I guess I'm done. I would like to stretch more. I just don't have like ADD. So I started doing Ramwad, and I'm like, this is great because it's just 20 minutes, like instead of stretching, and just like whatever helps. So like if I find something that like, hey, this really helps on the road. Okay, let's all do that. So we just try to share the wealth and try to.
I think that also goes for like the Whoop too. Once we had it, everyone's like, "Oh, what is that?" And they're able to track their recovery and see how their bodies adapt to being on the road and wrestling and working out and being like, "Okay, this is where I need to rest and this is where I need to recover." And so, I think that all of those have been great tools, at least for these guys.
Now, if an individual has a low recovery or Seth's got a low recovery, is there a certain type of workout that you try to think about implementing in that case?
Not necessarily. They'll usually tell me like, "Hey, today was a crappy travel day. I don't not necessarily want to do the workout, but how can we modify this workout because let's say my lower back hurts or I'm really sore from the day before." So luckily we're in a day and age where you can text me and I can write them back within 5 minutes and give them an alternative workout to do. So it really all depends on them and how they're feeling. Sometimes they're like, hey, we're not going to make it to the gym today just because our travel was so long and we're not going to have time to hit a gym. Can we do this tomorrow, or can you find us another gym for the next day? So,
and for you guys, what are some other forms of recovery tools that you like? I mean, we just talked about the app you use for stretching. Are you guys into any of these things like foam rolling or some of these different tools like Hyper Ice and other products like that? Do you do contrast therapy?
We do have Hyper Ice and foam rollers and everything.
Yeah,
because we have like trainers and doctors that travel with us as well. So there's always, like they help stretch us out, like with the ART and stretching like that. And then the foam rollers, Hyper Ice. And then again, like Josh said, with the modifying the workouts and the workload, and like now thanks to our Whoop, we have like science behind that. So like if I have a low recovery, like today, but I know tonight I get a full night's of sleep and I can choose when I work out. Like before I would be like, well, no, I'm going to work out today because then it's done and I'm over with. But now it's like, okay, no, I'm going to work out tomorrow. Maybe if I go in the day and Seth wants to work out, I'll do one of the workouts with him and take it a little bit easier, and then I'll go again full speed tomorrow. So I think that helps to have that data to just confirm and help you adjust to that.
I think too, we use every, like for me, I need to, like, I notice I feel better when I warm up more before a workout instead of just jumping right in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So for me to get my heart rate up early, and then get warm, get loose, stretch out, roll out, whatever I need to do. And then I have like kind of a routine when I'm home too. Like I have a massage that I see every week, chiropractor that I see to try to make sure everything's set. So, because recovery is a huge part of our game anyway. Like,
so important.
Yeah, because we perform so much at such a high level all the time that like you have to.
If you're not recovering.
If it's not a priority, right? Yeah, if you're overworked, if you're overtrained, then your performance suffers, and then you know what I mean, and that's indicative of where you sit on the card and where you're at in the company. So there's a mindset. We talked about this before we go on, where as a top level athlete, your mindset is to overtrain, like because you want it's in your head. That's just the next level, and so like having. And then we try to find all these different ways to recover or anything. How do I feel better? How do I get looser? How do I perform better in this workout? But having the data of the Whoop is nice because it will give you a nice guide to follow. And like Cesaro was saying, you end up in a situation where now you can plan your workouts better.
Totally.
Yeah, you can adjust the capacity or the intensity, all that sort of stuff moving forward. Or like Josh sends me a week's worth of programming. So if it's like, oh, I'm supposed to squat heavy on Tuesday, but I'm screwed. Like, I'll just switch the lift. You know what I'm saying?
So you will change the workout depending on your recovery.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
so my recovery's crap, and I feel like crap, and the Whoop's telling me that I need to take it easy. And I'm like, all right, maybe a 20-minute WOD is not the ticket today. Maybe let's find something with just a nice easy cardiovascular pace or an EMOM or something like that where I can take it easy and work on some form. And so I'll look at the schedule for the week and pick and choose and stuff like that. So and it's just it helps all around. I think
that makes a lot of sense.
It's a great reminder too, because
Yeah.
perfect example was we did a workout today where I tested it on Saturday, and my Whoop on Saturday said like, "Hey, you're in the red. It's no good today." But I'm like, "Oh my, I gotta test it anyway." And so I got a time, and then today after a flight, I'm like, "Oh man, there's no way I'm gonna do." I'm not going to do better today. I know it. But my Whoop said I was recovered, and I did it today, and I was faster than I did it on Saturday. So
that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Still slower than me.
Still slower than him, but still. I was like, the Whoop was right. I was totally recovered enough to do better on this workout than I did on Saturday. But not faster than
And that is a cool moment when you realize that a piece of technology knows your body better than you can feel, right?
Yeah, that is cool.
I mean, it is frustrating, but yes. I'm like, how? I only had 3 hours of sleep. How is this possible?
So where does diet fit in for you guys? Like, what kinds of things do you do from a diet standpoint? There's a lot of fads right now, keto and all these other things.
I find consistency is important. I think no matter what you want to do, if you're dieting, and this is kind of the advice I give to, because we get a lot of questions about this, is like, whatever you do, you just need to do it consistently over a long period of time.
I think that's smart.
Yeah, and you will find a result, and then you can take that result and decide if you want to continue to implement that diet, if that's what you wanted. But most people, like you said, there's so many fad diets. Most people just don't want to take the time to do the research, and so they're bouncing around and trying different things or not being strict enough, and it's like, okay, you're not going to get results. You want to know why you haven't lost any weight, you haven't toned up, or you haven't gained any weight? Well, it's because you haven't been consistent with your diet. So I think whatever you do, if you have a dietitian or nutritionist or whatever, listen to them, just be consistent for 2 months, 3 months, get some results, and then you can go off of that, and then move forward. But it's tough because everyone just bounces around so much.
And your diet personally, what does that look like?
Oh, for me, I mean, I don't. I don't
don't forget dieting, but just what
my nutrition looks like.
Nutrition.
When we're on the road, the kind people at Trifecta Nutrition have been awesome with us, and they supply us with meals. And so I find that between that, eating 3 to 4 of those a day, and then a protein shake after workout or after a match, and or both usually, that usually eats up a good chunk of my calorie content for what I need. And Trifecta is cool because they just have it's very clean as far as their you're not eating a ton of sugar.
Right.
You're getting a good amount of fiber, clean carbs, leaner proteins, and healthy fats. And so once you kind of find your balance with that and not overeat, not undereat, we've been doing this for a long time now, so you kind of figure out.
Kind of refine your form.
Yeah, you kind of find out what your body wants. Some people track their macros and stuff like that. It's not my cup of tea, really.
Sure.
I just kind of go based on feel, and that works for me. So. And then I'll splurge from time to time too. Don't be afraid to splurge, all right? Don't be
Good
afraid.
advice from Seth Rollins.
Just a
Don't
little
be
bit,
afraid to
because
splurge.
you get crazy. You know what I'm saying? You have to have something, like, you know, if you're just a little bit, but cause you get too strict, you get too crazy. Like, don't be afraid to like enjoy food. Yeah, you know what I mean. I don't want it to be a chore for you.
Yeah.
Unless unless it's competition.
How about you, Cesaro? Similar? Or?
It's pretty much the same. Like I used to diet really hard. Like I did like the what was that? The P90X, long time ago.
Yeah.
10, 11 years ago.
There you go.
With like the super strict plan, you know, and then I had like a trainer who gave me like the macros to the gram, and I did that. And then when I got on the road with WWE, it's just like I didn't want to count all the carbs and stuff, and then you just kind of like find a diet that works for you. And that used to be, you know, like we used to go to Chipotle 3 times a day, or like just get 3 meals a day, live off, you know, do that. And then like you mentioned, Trifecta helped us out with the nutrition. Actually, Seamus, the tag team partners in the gang as well, he started bringing meals on the road in a big Yeti cooler, and we were all like, what the hell is that? You bring your fridge on the road? What are you doing? You're an idiot. Like, just like make fun of him. And then, like, you know, 6 months later, we all had our big Yetis on the road with our food and brought it, because he was the first one that, you know, had the meal plan and everything. And now there's a whole bunch of us that have it, because it just makes it so easy. You know, like I mentioned earlier, you drive for 4 hours, you just stop at the rest stop, you throw it in, you have a good, healthy, awesome meal at 2 o'clock in the morning. That doesn't really work otherwise.
Yeah, if you go to Arby's, you gotta get the curly fries.
Yeah, so
now you're running into real problems.
I don't really have a sweet tooth, so like it's similar to him. I have 3 trifectas a day when I'm on the road, and then you know, I have a protein shake. I have breakfast at whatever local spot. I love breakfast; it's my favorite meal of the day. So I go to find a local breakfast spot, have an omelet there, and then I have my protein cereal, and that's
don't forget the cereal.
Don't forget the cereal. That's what I'm famous for.
Oh.
And when I'm at home, I cook my own food. So yeah.
Let's just clarify that he eats cereal basically in a protein shake.
Yes.
So he gets like the healthiest cereal he can find, like the
Kashi.
Kashi.
It's great.
And then he gets his little disposable or foldable bowl that he has. And then he puts the cereal in, or the water in, or whatever. But he also puts his Progenics protein in the water.
Yeah.
Makes like a chocolate
milk.
Cookies and cream protein
it's
water.
The best thing.
Then puts his cereal in that, and he just to the last drop.
It's the best. You can eat it on the plane. You can eat it in the car. Whenever you're hungry, like you have an appearance, you're on the way. Oh, what? I have my cereal right here. You eat it. It's great.
I made fun of him once, and then I tried it, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually really, really good." When I was on the road with him, I was like, "Hey, we need to stop." And he's like, "Why do we gotta stop for?" I'm like, "Oh, because I want to get that Kashi cereal." And he was like, "I knew it. I got you hooked."
Oh, man.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's pretty
You should
delicious.
try
One weekend off with him by yourself, and you're on the cereal kick.
It's great.
Oh.
So transitioning for a second, I mean, you guys do some pretty incredible moves when you're performing at these events. A lot of them seem high risk, obviously. When do you guys practice those, and how do you make sure you're focused on executing against them properly?
I'll let you take that one.
Well, so we've been doing this for so long that we used to, when me and him first started, we were training at a place called FCW, which is like the pre-NXT WWE trainings camp, so to speak.
It's like a developmental system.
Yeah, developmental
And they
system.
teach you all the different...
So, well, like we already kind of knew what we was when you first train wrestling. They teach you how to fall. They teach you the holds, the basics. You know, like how to lock up, how to do the holds, how to take a fall, all that stuff. Then when you come to WWE, they kind of reteach you how they, you know, want you to do stuff, and have like it's just like a different preference and the different styles. Like the ring is bigger. It's like all kinds of different things. So you kind of learn there. But then once you get full time on the road, like when we started on the road, we wrestled 5 days a week. Now it's only 4, which is better for recovery and everybody. That's one of the reasons why they went down to 4. But we used to wrestle 5 times a week. So you're in the ring performing in front of people 5 times a week, which is the best way to learn. So that's where you try new stuff. That's where you perfect your timing. That's when you're like, oh, I have an idea. I want to try that. Okay, let's try that tonight. You know, because it's like.
So you'll talk about it beforehand, and then you'll go out and just do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
just
it's
like that.
Yeah. So it's like on the non-televised events. You know, like we would drive together and be like, hey, I want to try this tomorrow, and then like I go to my opponent and be like, hey, I thought maybe we can try this, maybe we can try that. Like, okay, cool, let's try.
So the storylines have eventually a high degree of flexibility in what you guys are actually doing during the event.
Yes.
Yeah, well, so the stories are separate from the matches are like part of telling a story, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of layers to telling your stories. But the cool thing about what we do is that it's art, and so there are many different ways to tell the same story. So you can try different types of matches and see how the audience responds between yourself and your opponent, and the ability to like kind of do that on the flux over a long period of time, or even in the middle of a match, and that's part of what you learn the more you do it.
So what are examples of different types of matches?
Oh, bless. Well, there's a million, man. There's a million. I mean, you there's so many variables because you can start with a basic one-on-one singles match with you guys have never, maybe Cesaro and I have never met. We've never wrestled each other. We don't care about each other. The object is who's the better man, right? And from there, you can literally add in an infinite amount of variability to the story, and every little piece of information about who he is or about who I am, or if I hurt my finger during the match to, he tried to steal my wife or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So every single different piece of information that happens over a period of time, you can use to tell a story in the context of the wrestling ring. And so it starts from nothing and you make it into whatever you want it to be.
That's pretty amazing because I think, I had a point of view that maybe more of it was choreographed even than what you're describing. Like, it seems like you guys are figuring it out on the fly just because you've been so used to working together too.
It's kind of that people always ask like when you guys get together to like choreograph, and it's like I wouldn't call it choreograph because it's kind of the way I always in my head it works as an analogy is like if you dance, right? So like if you dance tango and you see somebody across the room dancing tango, like, okay, hey, let's dance, and you dance, and if you both know how to, it will be good, right? But then like if you meet somebody and you have really good freaking chemistry with, then it's gonna be one hell of a tango, right? So it's the same with wrestling. It's like we both know how to wrestle, right? So like if you have a match, it's gonna be good even if we barely talked. You know what I mean? Because like we
Totally.
just know the basics. But if you have a chance to beforehand, you know what I mean? Like we pick the song, we pick the like surroundings, the costumes, whatever, and then like you put on the performance, it's just on another level. So like that's what I mean. Like you can have an infinite number of variabilities that you can just go with, and like essentially then like like even if this is a story, like in the match we can decide how we want to tell that story, and that comes with experience, that comes with trying it out every single night in front of a different crowd, like, oh, maybe this works better here, maybe that works. So it's like a lot of trial and error.
So I like the dancing analogy. What it makes me think of though is if you're dancing with someone who's inexperienced, next thing you know they're stepping on your foot, right?
You have to lead them.
And you have to lead them.
And
So
that's accurate. That's very accurate as well. It's the same thing. If him and I have a lot of experience in the ring, and so we would be relied upon in a match with someone who's been wrestling a lot fewer years than we have, or even some fewer years than we have, to be the lead.
now, does that ever become dangerous for you because they are less equipped at handling certain situations?
If you're not intelligent enough to manage that, so that's something that again you learn over time. How to simplify things for someone in that level, so that you don't put yourself in danger.
Right.
So yes, it can be a danger. You learn very quickly once you get knocked in your head one too many times. You're like, okay, we'll not worry about that one anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, you learn how to simplify things to make it easier for your opponent.
Now, what's the worst injury you've had in the ring?
Me? I blew my knee out pretty hard a few years back. I'd say that's probably the worst one. I've had cumulative injuries over time, but the knee is like the worst injury. I did a flip and landed kind of on my inside of my foot, and it just buckled my knee. It tore my ACL, MCL, and meniscus all at once. And
Wow.
So I had to have the whole thing redone.
And how long did that recovery process take?
What did I do? 5.5 months, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
He also finished the match and then ended up walking through the airport and to the hotel and everything because he didn't know how bad it was until the next day.
That's the crazy thing about that type of injury, right? Is like you can't quite tell.
Well, I knew something was wrong because
Yeah.
it went whap, but then it was really loose. But then I was like, but I can still, put some weight on it here and there. And it was, like, I just didn't know. I never had anything like that. So, that was in late November, or early November, and I came back in mid-May, I think. So.
And you finished the fight, it sounds like.
Yeah, I did. I was close to the end. Let's not get crazy. I wasn't out there for another 20 minutes, but yeah, that one was. I got it done. That's just our instinct.
Now, if you're doing 4 or 5 events a week, I have to think there's a lot of nights where you're going out and it's like, oh, my elbow is sore from that thing last night with the chair or whatever. Like, how do you manage that kind of pain? Just practice, or are there certain creams you like to use? Do you like to use ibuprofen, stuff like that, or?
I mean, yeah, like
ibuprofen, right?
Yeah, that. But also, again, we have so many ways of telling a story, like we talked about earlier, like and with experienced guy. So like, if I know his elbow hurt, I'll make sure that nothing touches that elbow. Or like, if you know
cool,
what I mean,
right?
like,
you
or
can change the storyline
you can change the story. If somebody has a hurt knee or a bad back, like you'll take care of that, because that's another part. We've been on the road so much with the people, like you make it easy. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you help them out, and like and if you do it right, like nobody will ever notice. You know what I mean? Like, because like, there's no difference. You can just mask that. If somebody, like if I have a hurt wrist or a hurt back, like it's just like I don't lift people. Then, you know what I mean? And it's like you do something else. It's just like that's what you learn to do. Apart from that, like all the stuff that helps. Like ibuprofen, like what is it? Icy hot, biofreeze.
Icy hot, biofreeze.
That's really the cool thing about these guys too. When I got to be on the road with them, is I'll go into the stands and watch it, and it could be Casper, Wyoming, or it could be L.A. and they're putting on a show for the same crowd, and they're giving it their all. And I'm like, hey man, it was like 1,000 people in that audience. You didn't have to go that hard. And he was just like, yeah man, they paid their ticket just like the people in L.A. You know what I mean? And so it's really cool to see, like, they were just saying, like, I couldn't tell that, something was hurt because they're giving it their all, which is really cool to see.
Do you guys still get that, like, rush of adrenaline every time you go out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, I would say.
For the big ones.
It does. It's so much fun because, like, I feel like it's different because, like, you always learn, and it's always a different experience, like, in front of every crowd there's something different, or like you discover something else that you can do, or like you can get away with, or so like and like it's fun, and then, like, of course, like for like WrestleMania, like this week, that's on a like adrenaline on a different level, but I think, like, as much as that is like, wow, this is amazing walking in front of 60,000-70,000 people, it's also a lot of fun to just go out there in front of 500 people, or like 1,000, 2,000, and it's a different atmosphere, but it's so much more intimate. You know what I mean? So like, and like we came from small indies wrestling in front of 20, 30 people, so
right.
It's just it's fun to see how that progressed in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I still get adrenaline. Not before everyone. I've had a lot of matches. I don't get me wrong, I have fun every time, but sometimes it takes me getting in the ring and moving around a little bit to get fired up, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, the big ones I still get, that I gotta pee 100 times before I go out, but yeah, sometimes, it's work, and you go out there and gotta fall down and get back up again, so.
So you guys have been wearing Whoop during the events.
Oh, yeah.
Have you noticed that the activity will get auto-detected before you go out, or is it always like...
Oh, yeah.
Way before.
So you are getting a little bit amped up, at least cardiovascular.
Yeah, it detects my... Sometimes, like, if I'm just going over, even if I'm just going over a promo, not even wrestling, like, I'm just going over a promo, I'm getting amped up, just talking and going over my thing, or I'm getting close, my heart rate builds up a little bit.
That's cool.
It'll detect the activity early. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
And how does an event on Whoop compare to, like, a CrossFit workout that you do with Josh?
Sometimes it's way higher.
And not sometimes, it's always way higher for me.
Yeah.
Well, depends on your match, right? Depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
My man Cesaro's here standing on the apron for, he's in a tag team right now.
Tag team, so sometimes it's a little up and down, but it's pretty much always higher than the workout. It was like it's longer, and it's just like that,
and it's
constant.
Intense, right?
It's constantly intense. And it's fun to look back, because like even when I think I'm relaxed, like when he said like I'm standing on the apron and I'm relaxed, I'm not relaxed. It's just like I'm like, argh! So it's great, and it's interesting to just see how how your heart works. You know.
You can see, when you look back at the activity in a workout, you can see, like, say if you're doing intervals or something, you can see where the rest periods were.
Sure.
The same thing applies in a match. Like, if I look back at the match and I look at the time and, like, know how long I was out there, you can see what parts of the match things were. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if there's
right.
a time where I'm laying down for a while, like, trying to catch my breath, you can see the dip in the heart rate and the spike on the way up when you're running around going crazy. So it's cool to see, like, watch the ebbs and flows.
What'll get you most jacked up during an event?
Fighting, just throwing hands, like a lot of
Yeah.
them, like what we would call a pull apart. So like if you're just intensely trying to punch somebody in the face and there's like a bunch of bodies trying to hold you back and you're just like yelling and screaming and punching and kicking, it's like your heart's just going a million miles an hour. Yeah, in a match you can kind of get in the flow because you're relaxed and stuff like that. But when there's like it's just like a straight sprint, you know what I mean, with basically no warm up, then it's like your heart rate's at 200. So
Now, after the event, how do you guys try to wind down? So it sounds like most of the time you're actually immediately in a car, right?
close, yeah.
But sometimes you might go back to your hotel even like this weekend, right? You'll go back to your hotel. Will it take some time for you guys to sort of like relax after that and be able to fall asleep?
For me, it's like I said, stretching really helps, and it sounds simple, but like it just winds me down, and I think now my body kind of knows, okay, we're stretching and we're going to sleep, which is nice. Or like if even in the same town, like just going out to eat, talk a bit,
Have something like a little more normal happen.
Yeah,
Just have it kind of
just
gradually take, let the adrenaline.
Do you guys like to use ice?
Yeah, if I need to. Yeah, if I'm sore after a match, knee or my back or whatever it may be, sure.
Yeah, we don't like. There's I think last week they had like an ice bath, or the cryos, like the new thing.
Cold bath.
But like other than that, we don't have that accessible all the time.
Do you guys like cryo?
I've never done it.
I've done it a couple times. I'm not.
Convinced?
I have no.
Jury's out.
Yeah, I have no. Yeah,
Same.
same. I have no
But-
evidence that it improves anything.
I think with that, and the same as like ice bath, I feel like you need to be consistent with it. And again, like that's what we
Yeah.
have earlier.
I
Like,
agree.
it's a consistency, and for me, a lot of the stuff that I do on the road, like it needs to be consistent. It needs to be something that I know I can do consistent. Like it's the same with like a foam roller. Like I know I can do that consistent, so I'll probably do that. Like with the whoop, it's like, okay, you need to sleep consistently, right? Again, the right word. I'm like, okay, so I know that because like I can have one day in the red, and if I all of a sudden it's 3 days, because it's like I'm not consistent with it.
Totally.
So I feel like a lot of the stuff that even if people tell me like, hey, try this, you know what I mean? And if it's something that I just know I will not be able to do because it doesn't suit my lifestyle and I won't be able to do it consistently, it's just, I know in advance it's not going to work, you know what I mean? Like,
Any tips in the bedroom environment in terms of how you wind down? Like, do you guys like to have a cold room,
Cold room,
dark?
right?
Cold
68,
dark.
68.
Cold and dark.
Cold and dark.
66. How about
66?
66?
68 is the magic number for
66,
me.
cold and dark.
CBD oil, it sounds like.
I like
Yeah.
CBD.
Have you guys ever taken melatonin? Magnesium?
I took for a while, there's has
The Onnit spray?
Yeah,
Yeah.
not the spray. They have like a pill, the sleep pill.
Oh,
I don't remember.
Yeah, you've had the pill. You've had the it's nice. It's
Oh,
good.
yeah, I did actually, yes.
I like the
No,
Onnit spray.
I haven't messed with the spray yet.
See, that's my problem with the same thing with the sleep, with the pill. It's like, I'll take it 3 days and then all of a sudden, like, I forget. So then the consistency's out the window, so like, when people ask me, oh, how do you like it? I'm like, I did, and then I forgot. So it's just, I need to get in the habit of it.
Although
so.
the one thing I've seen with sleep supplements, and I don't mean sleeping pills, but like supplements, is
Yeah.
that sometimes if you cycle on and off them, it actually makes them more effective.
Yeah,
should
because if
try
you
that.
use them too consistently,
Yeah.
then your body gets used to.
So I like to use melatonin whenever I travel to a different time zone because it'll just help me get on the time zone if I'm trying to fall asleep.
That's not a bad idea.
But I find if I
Try
take
that.
it every night, then it's a little bit less effective.
Yeah, I could see that. That's for sure.
All right, so transitioning quickly, and then I'll let you guys get out of here. You guys are at the top of your games, right? You're having an amazing career. For people listening to this who are thinking, how can I make it? How can I be more successful? What's your advice, Seth? I'll start with you. I know I listened to you talk about early in your career just how much work it was to get here.
Yeah, so the two things that I think, the two pillars of, you can say hard work, right? Hard work's, I feel like that's a no-brainer. But we talked about it a little bit with diet, and I'm going to say it again when it comes to success, is consistency, right? So you have to consistently show up, consistently perform. You have to consistently be aware of your surroundings and the people you put next to you. Like, you just have to always show up and do the work. And I think that coupled with patience, because people don't understand this stuff doesn't happen overnight. Success especially, you know, aside from winning the lotto, if that's your goal, but like hard-earned success generally does not happen overnight. It's a long-term investment in yourself, and so having the patience to be consistent and show up every single day is what's going to put you in position to get the opportunities to succeed. And then it's hit or miss, you know, it's swing and hit it, or swing and miss and move on to the next one. But I think for me, those two pillars, that consistency along with the patience, understanding that it's a long game and not a short game, is what's going to get you the opportunities to get to where you want to go from a next level.
And the more consistent you are, the more you start to feel momentum too, right?
Yes.
And that momentum keeps fueling it.
Yeah, because look, it's ebbs and flows. Success isn't just like, very rarely, you know, if you looked at it on a chart, a line graph or something, is it just a consistent uphill? You know, you're going to have peaks and valleys in that thing. So understanding that you're going to have setbacks, you're going to have things that are going to get in your way, but you're going to have to overcome those things. A, it's going to make you stronger and more prepared for the success you're going to have, understanding that it never gets easier. But B, like, that's the patience I'm talking about. You need to have that, and the realization that it takes a long time.
And paint the picture for someone listening of like the first 2 years of you thinking you wanted to be a pro wrestler. Like,
oh, I mean,
what kind of a grind was that?
Yeah, when you guys, I mean, I lived with my folks till I was 24. You know what I mean? If I didn't have the support of my parents to be, there's no way. Like, they you know, they provided me with put a roof over my head, stuff like that. But like, you know, Cesaro said, we used to wrestle in front of crowds of 20 to 30 people in little National Guard armories or bingo halls, or, you know, tents or wherever they could put up a ring. Like, we would go there and wrestle. It didn't matter, because we wanted the experience and we were trying to network and get better. We were losing money, our bodies hurt, but we had so much passion for what we were doing that those were all sacrifices we were willing to make to try to get to the next level. And so, yeah, I mean, when you're trying to break into the business, it's tough, and it's disheartening, because you run into a lot of valleys very quickly, and you have to look yourself in the mirror and be like, is this something that I really want? Is it something that's feasible for me? You know, it's a long road to get to the top in our industry from where we came from, and so you have to be consistent and patient and put in the time.
Well said, man. I mean, you're an inspiration too for a lot of people. So, Cesaro, how about for you?
I mean, it's the same. Like he pretty much hit the nail on the head. But I think that goes for any job, any industry, anything. It doesn't happen overnight. All those overnight success story that people see, that's like for like a long time in the making. It's just people discover the stuff overnight, then it becomes popular.
It took 12 years for you to get rich overnight.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, there's this new product. Have you seen it? It's great. Then people think like, oh, that came from here to there. But there was, you know, like the 12 years when people tried to develop that product, you know, like that didn't, you know, that doesn't register. So like, yeah, exactly what he said. It's like consistency and hard work, and maybe get the chance. And if you get it, you take it. And if not, you wait for the next one and swing again, you know. Don't be afraid to fail. I feel like that's another thing, you know. You just critical. That's how you learn, you know.
And Josh, what about for you?
Kind of going off what he said, taking a chance, you know. When I met these guys, I was kind of like in a transitional period. I was working on movies and TV shows, and I didn't really think like fitness was, even though I had a passion for it, I didn't think that was going to be a career path. And being like, all right, I'm going to take this chance and try this as a new career. And then, like he said, using a friend of mine, like I knew that they were coming into town, but I would never reach out to a celebrity in the way that I did. But I was like, you know what? I mean, worst he could say is no if he doesn't want to come into my gym.
Totally.
And luckily he said yes, and you know, from there he you know, had this trajectory in his wrestling career. Same with Cesaro, and I was lucky enough to be their friend, and you know, we got to, you know, start Dead Boys Fitness, and it all just became you know, that all came from a chance of me being like, hey man, you should come into my gym, you should come check out, you know, the gym that I'm working at. So, you know, taking a chance and doing stuff that you love, I think really also kind of helps define success. You know, I know people that are successful business people, but they hate their job, and even though they're successful, they hate what they do. And is that a measure of success? I mean, to a certain extent, yes, but I don't think inside they're very successful. Where I love what I do, and I get to hang out with my friends and still have a lot of fun doing it. So it's, to me, I feel like I'm successful whether I have one Dead Boys Fitness member or 310.
All right. Well, last question for each of you: what is the lowest recovery that you've gotten on Whoop, and why? I'll start with you, Josh.
I think it was 7%.
Vegas
with all of the
Vegas period.
Vegas period. There's no.
A lot of we saw Diplo, so I was up to like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning.
I've been somewhere in the teens, and it was just probably after a crappy, like I just beat the hell out of myself over the weekend. Early flight home, didn't sleep, and then like on a Tuesday or whatever, I wake up and I'm like, oh gosh. 12%, great.
I was just gonna say I think mine was 12. But I don't know why that was in my head. I think it was around there, and probably the same thing. And I think I was surprised too. I was like, oh my god, like I slept like 5 hours, like at 12. Yeah, it was just, and I think it was like it didn't get better for like 3 days. I think I had like 3 days of red.
Yeah, no, I beat you guys on that.
Yeah,
I'm the champ on that one. 7%.
He has the worst.
But it's also like that's the interesting part again, like about consistency. You can see like if it's on the downward trend, you're just like, oh no, and you just like no.
Gotta right the ship.
Yeah, it's like yellow. You're like, please be green. Okay, I'm gonna get a lot of sleep tonight. One of those. But yeah, it's definitely you're trying to stay away from those red.
Well, look, guys, it's been awesome having you guys on Whoop, and if you guys ever need anything from me, don't hesitate to reach out. And thanks again for doing the podcast.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, it was a blast.
All right,
This appreciate you.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much,
Yeah,
dude.
it's been great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
of course, thank
I just
you.
saw caffeine.